Hear my plea to the fallen, leave me to be with the broken one last time before I go. Hold the last burning ember, let us never surrender. May we rise up to the glory and the fall. For the weak and the broken, for the lost and forsaken, let us never surrender. May we rise up to the call. For the weak and the broken, for the lost and forsaken, let us never surrender. For the glory of the fall. For the beat and the broken, for the lost and forsaken, let us never surrender. Now we rise unto the call.
All right, Orc Hunters, we are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. How are we doing tonight on September 8th, 2022, day 198 of the war in Ukraine? I'm Andrew Mercado from Mercado Media. Check in to the stream. Let me know what city, what state, where in the world you all are watching from. We have such a wide array of viewers from all around the world, so I would love for you to go ahead and check on into the live stream. Good news, more good news from the front lines in Ukraine to report as the Ukrainian counteroffensives are continuing both in the south and in the east, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to go in depth completely through a map breakdown. This live stream is consisted of a map breakdown, then we go through some video. Not seeing too many video out today, understandably. The Queen Elizabeth II from the monarch, the Queen of United Kingdom, passed today, so a lot of the world's news and attention has kind of literally just shifted to that right now. So a lot of I do have some video clips, and also shout out to the Orc Hunters in the Discord. Join the Mercado Media Discord server, and I will pull up videos that y'all share into it and pull that up on stream, and we can watch it there. But not too many videos out today, but that's okay. We'll be live, and we'll cover in whatever we need to. We got a $5 super chat from Daniel. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Daniel. But we're gonna get into it. Let's get into it right. Let's get into it right about now. Let me switch this over really quick. I had my sources up for other things today. There's our map. So a couple newsy updates before we get into the full map breakdown portion of the stream. Ukrainian forces in southern Kharkiv Oblast are likely exploiting Russian force reallocation to the southern axis to conduct an opportunistic yet highly effective counteroffensive northwest of Izium. Skirt. Oof. Even more blue space over here. Look at that. The Ukrainians have successfully connected the front lines with Staryi Caravan and Ozyrny. And we'll get into the full details in that in our map breakdown coming up here soon. Just giving you guys a little preview of what's to talk about. The Ukrainians have crossed the Siversk Donetsk River and have punched into Russian territory. The Russians are reeling right now. There's about 20,000 Russian soldiers in Izium right now at this time, right? 20,000 soldiers in Izium, and then into the north up into Vovoshchansk, or into these other areas near the border, near Belgorod. The Russians have an extra 15,000 that they can send down into this area. But essentially the Ukrainians are surrounding these Russian soldiers. They have cut off their ability to cross into, and the Ukrainians have cut off the ground lines of communication that the Russians are using. And as you can see, just it's almost as if the announcements and the attention of the counteroffensives on the southern axis was smoke and mirrors to the real counteroffensive, which is taking place in the east. And we'll get into full details on that. Ukraine's ongoing operations in Kherson Oblast have forced Russian forces to shift their focus to the south, enabling Ukrainian forces to launch localized but highly effective counterattacks in the Izium area. Russian mill bloggers voiced concern that this Ukrainian counterattack seems to cut off ground lines of communication to Russian rear areas in Kupiansk and Izium, which would allow Ukrainian troops to isolate the Russian groupings in these areas and retake large swaths of territory, which we're seeing. We're seeing that. These mill bloggers used largely panicked and despondent tones, acknowledged significant Ukrainian gains, and claimed that the Ukrainian counteroffensive in the south may be a distraction from the ongoing actions in the Kharkiv Oblast. Man, sign me up. Sign me up. Said it yesterday, 2 days ago. This is it's a smoke and mirrors for what's really going on in the east. They got everybody's attention. The world, they got all of our attention on the south, right? I mean, even we saw it coming. All of us that have been tracking the war, we knew something was happening and brewing in the south, to the point where all of our focus was waiting on it, including the trolls. And now, bam! Look at Ukraine's taking large swaths of territory up in the northeast out of nowhere. Just like a I can't even say what I want to say. I don't want to get taken off, but the level of shock and frank discussion of Ukrainian successes by Russian mill bloggers speaks to the scale of surprise achieved by Ukrainian forces, which is likely successfully demoralizing the Russian forces. While it is unlikely that the southern counteroffensive and effort to attrit Russian forces in southern Ukraine is a feint for renewed operations in Kharkiv Oblast, Ukrainian forces likely took prudent advantage of a reallocation of Russian troops, equipment, and overall operational focus to launch localized counteroffensives toward critical points in the Kharkiv Oblast. We'll be getting into all of that details. This is just kind of like a base summary for what's going on, and kind of like a narrative style. And then I will go into each individual city and tell you guys, hey, the Russians attacked this city at this distance, and we'll get into those full details here very shortly, especially up here in the northeast, where the Ukrainians are taking swaths of territory back. They're liberating lots of territory. Russian President Vladimir Putin attempted to deny the International Atomic Energy Agency's IAEA September 6 report. So let's go over down now. Now we're down here in Unodahar at the Zaporizhzhia NPP. Are you down with NPP? Or is it on the GPS? Let's pull up the GPS view, and there we go. Here's a good view of it. Here's all the reactors from the north. We looked at a view of it yesterday from ground view. But here's a nice view of the entire nuclear plant with the reactors. All right, so here's the IAEA the International Atomic Energy Agency that visited the plant and have presented a report. But Putin attempted to deny the report, of course. I mean, that's par for the course. Putin claimed that there is no Russian military equipment on the grounds of the ZNPP other than Rozhgovirda elements. Rozhgovirda elements have carried out both occupation functions and frontline combat operations during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That's the Russian National Guard. So it's like he's literally double speaking. He is literally double speaking. Putin's admission that there are Rozhgovirda elements in the plant's grounds further confirms that Russian forces have militarized their presence at the ZNPP despite constant Russian denials. It's like he lied and admitted that it was happening in the same sentence, right? So he admits there's no Russian military equipment, but the Rozhgovirda's there, which is the Russian National Guard. It's their military. Putin also accused the IAEA of acting under Western pressure to not directly blame Ukraine of shelling the plant. As a study of war previously assessed, the IAEA report was coded yet damning condemnation of Russian activities at the ZNPP. We got a big $14 super sticker from Steve. Thank you so much for that super sticker. Thank you so much. So now let's get into it here. So that's the latest with the IAEA plant. Vladimir Putin denying their report, saying that there aren't any military equipment there at all, just the Rozhgovirda, which is the military. So double speak Putin. Back out here. All right. Map breakdown for day 199 of the war in Ukraine. I'm Andrew Mercado. Let's get on into it. We got 3 major fronts in Ukraine at this time. 3 major fronts in the war in Ukraine at this time. You have the southern axis. You have the Donbas in the east. And you have the Kharkiv Oblast and the international border with the Russian city of Belgorod. These are the 3 major fronts that are the 3 major areas of focus that I'm going to be diving into more in depth within the war in Ukraine at this time. There isn't any, I mean, there's western cities and northern cities, and I mean, in some of these central cities within Ukraine that get shelled on a routine basis, not weekly or daily, but I mean monthly. There's strikes all through Ukraine, through western Ukraine, northern Ukraine. Kyiv gets hit still on a monthly basis. I'm hoping they don't get hit, but I mean they've just been hit every single month. But we're focusing more so on the front lines here. So the 3 main fronts within Ukraine: southern axis, east, and then we got the Kharkiv axis. Thank you, Andrew, this morning for Queen Elizabeth II and Ukraine now. Thank you so much, Rose, for that big super chat there. So let's start here with the east. I'm gonna do another map so we can zoom in some. I do 2 maps at a time, almost 3 maps sometimes. Okay, we're gonna start here in the east. Clear this out. That's a good spot. I'm gonna highlight the key Russian cities: Izium, Lyman, Sverdlovsk and Lysychansk, Popasna, Avdiivka, and Donetsk. I'm going to highlight the Russians advancing efforts here in the east. So these lines that are coming out are where the Russians are attempting to advance or are advancing. So areas of approach. I also got to highlight. All right, so these are the Russian advancing directions, and then I'm going to go and highlight each individual Ukrainian city. I'm going to leave Baron Cove there. Ukrainians are launching counteroffensives, taking back territory here south of Izium, and then Slovyansk, Sherwood Forest area. Just remember Sherwood Forest in Slovyansk. We're taking back territory now. I mean, you can see it from the big map now. Look at that blue right there. You can see it from the big map even before we zoom in. Ukraine taking territory back, pushing into the Russian territory across the Siversk Donetsk River. Just looking at it, what we're seeing right now, and when we get up to, I mean, I should even include. Let's do Lazova. And you even got some counteroffensives up here too. You even got Ukraine's trying to connect this front line on all fronts. Ukraine is on the offensive in the Izium, Kharkiv, sector here, Lyman too, if you will, this Sherwood Forest area, Ukraine is dominating. They're taking large swaths of territory back. They're liberating villages, and not so much in the south. In the south, it's very logistical, and I'm almost banking on, and we'll get to it, that the Russians are gonna respond how they have this entire time, because they've just failed miserably. So now that Ukraine's taking territory back right now, quickly trying to take territory back, Russia will obviously have to move their troops, because there's 20,000 soldiers here in Izium, right? And they're cut off right now. The Russian soldiers that are in Izium are now cut off from the rest of where they need to get to. But Russia's going to be moving their soldiers now, and likely pausing their, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's okay. Likely pausing the Russians' advances here in Bakhmut. Right, so you got the Russians are advancing here in Bakhmut, or have been. This is the region of Russian successes as of late, but the Russians are likely going to have to put that on pause, the little incremental gains that they have been doing, and go and reinforce their troops up here to help, because otherwise Ukraine's just going to take Izium and Lyman back. I mean, they're taking large swaths of territory. They've already crossed the Siversk Donetsk River, so the Russians are going to have to move their troops up and then down from the border, which will help the Ukrainian counteroffensives in Kharkiv, specifically near the border, as the Russians have to divert troops away from it to help with this counteroffensive. That's going to get interesting then. If the Russians now have to move troops away from the southern axis now to go help up in the east, that might then do like a kind of like a ping pong. Like that's what Ukraine might be doing with these counteroffensives. They're ping pong in the south and the east. Like they'll do as much as they can here in the east and take as much territory back as they can, while the Russians had to move all their troops away from it. Now the Russians going to bring their troops back to help in this counteroffensive, and then down here likely going to see some Ukrainian troops move in to liberate some territories down here. It's very much like a ping pong type strategy they have here in moving and liberating territories back and forth between the east. But this eastern counteroffensive was definitely not in the mainstream cognitive understanding of what's going on here. It was definitely like, whoa, okay, that's what they're doing now. It wasn't, they definitely kept it all under wraps, and they still are. Like the key details of information and the numbers of troops and the equipment being sent into these areas and how they're accomplishing these counteroffensives is still under wraps. It's operational security, so you're not going to get too much information. But however, you are going to get information about the Ukrainians taking territory back, because they are posting video or pictures just like the Russians do when they take a city or a village, or when they raise the flag back to signify that, hey, this territory has indeed been liberated. That's the extent of the information that we're going to be getting. So real quick, now let's dial it back here. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, getting super ahead of myself. So you got the Ukrainian counteroffensives here at Slovyansk. Let's get the update. That's a zoomed in version of what we're looking at. Let's go like right here. Russian controlled city of Izium, you got Lyman. Here's Slovyansk, Barenkov. I'm gonna circle that just so I can signify the counteroffensive here. Behind my camera, Ukraine moving into Russian. This is all the blue on the map here. Let me one more time. What you're looking at on the map, the colors on the screen, the red is Russian advanced into Ukraine. So this is all Ukraine, right? The red signifies, since the invasion has began, what territory the Russians have control over. The blue on the map is territory that Russia had control over, and now the Ukrainians have liberated it. So whenever you see blue on the map, that means that is liberated territory that Ukraine has taken back from Russia. On the other hand, you have the yellow, which signifies claimed Russian control but not yet verified. So like they've thrown it out there saying that, hey, you know, we've taken this territory, or we moved up into it. That's the yellow on the map, and you see more and more of that because there are more claims from the Russians of taking territory. But then when it gets corrected and we find out that, hey, they haven't taken as much territory as the facts are presented, then it will get reflected on the map, like we've seen in Siversk, where they just had the Russians on the border of Siversk here with the map colors, and in the last couple weeks that's been adjusted now, and they've moved the Russians back some. It's been pretty accurate among the claimed Ukrainian counteroffensives, though, more so with the Russian advance, so keep that in mind. But those are the colors on the map. The claimed Ukrainian counteroffensives is blue, the claimed Russian control, so that's how they're advancing, that's going to be the yellow. And then some of these other colors on the map here, like Severodonetsk and in Crimea, and especially in the southern axis, cities like Melitopol, Ernodahar, there's protests out of it, Novakhovka, Kherson. That is partisan warfare, so there's like protests going on, unrest. There's pushback of the Russian occupational control of the cities. So big map, small map. We're gonna get into Slovyansk. Let's get the full update here. Russian forces conducted a limited ground attack northwest of Slovyansk on the 7th. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian troops repelled a Russian attack in the area of Dolnya, about 18 kilometers northwest of Slovyansk along the E40 Izium-Slovyansk highway. Russian forces also conducted routine artillery strikes along the Izium-Slovyansk line and on areas north and northeast of Slovyansk. So you would just routine artillery strikes. Ukrainian troops repelled a Russian attack in the area. They conducted a limited ground. The Russians conducted a limited ground attack, but there hasn't been any changes. The Russians have not advanced and taken any. They're on defense right now. The Ukrainians have had the successes within the area, advancing across the Siversk Donetsk and taken and completing the front line between Ozyrny and one more time, the Staryi Caravan. That's the one. Staryi Caravan. They've connected this front line here. Just the town of Dobrova is next for liberation in this push here in the east. And we're likely going to see that here in the coming days. That is it here in Slovyansk. So we're going to put a box around Ozyrny and Staryi Caravan for the area that signifies Ukrainian or successes. So like I'll circle if there's been a Russian advancement that's a success, or a Ukrainian counteroffensive success. So I'm gonna put a big box around that area as they're pushing up towards Lyman, taking territory back. We're also seeing Ukrainian counteroffensives here, and here. Specifically in Borodarichny, Mazanivka and Dubrovny, Brazivka, and Dmitriivka, as the Ukrainians are inching closer. We'll get up into some of these cities when I get up into the Kharkiv update, where you have to get up in. That's a whole separate update with Kharkiv. So that's where we're seeing Ukrainian counteroffensive successes here. And let's put it on the big map to reflect what we're seeing here on the smaller map. Big Ukrainian counteroffensive successes. That's all Ukrainians moving and advancing towards Izium and Lyman. Next, we're going to get into the Ukrainian town of Siversk, and it doesn't look like too much has changed. Doesn't look like there's much of an update here on the town of Siversk. That's going to be right. Oh, wrong color. That is right here. Here's the town of Siversk. Let's highlight Severodonetsk and Lysychansk so you can see them. The Russian attempted advancing directions. There you go. So town of Siversk here to the east of Slovyansk. Russian forces conducted a limited ground attack northeast of Siversk on September 7th. The Ukrainian General Staff stated that Russian troops attacked near Avdiivka, about 10 kilometers northeast of Siversk. Russian forces conducted routine artillery strikes on settlements around Siversk. So just routine shelling of civilian populated areas in Siversk. Nothing has changed. There's been no advancement, no Ukrainian liberations taking place here. Nothing's changed in Siversk. Next, I'm going to leave it on this screen shortly, and then I'm going to adjust, but I'm going to show you where Bakhmut is in relation to all of these cities in this view. So the next city is Bakhmut, just south of Siversk. So we're going just slightly southwestward along the T0513 highway. On the big map, that's right here. Okay, down to Bakhmut. I'm going to adjust this now because we're going to move. Move and zoom in some. Okay, you got the Ukrainian controlled city of Bakhmut. Popasna. Here's the Russian advances. Here's Soledar. Kodyma. Attempted advances straight on the city that have failed. And Zaporizhzhia. Here's where the Russians have had successes as of late in Soledar and Kodyma. So on your screen where we're seeing the two green circles, that is the town of Soledar, and then you got the town of Kodyma just to the south of Bakhmut, where we've seen some Russian successes as of late in their attack. Russian forces continued ground attacks northeast and south of Bakhmut on September 7th. The Ukrainian General Staff indicated that Russian troops attempted to advance north towards Bakhmut from the outskirts of Avdiivka, around Zaporizhzhia, Mayorsk, and Mykolivka Druha, all within 20 kilometers south of Bakhmut. The Ukrainian General Staff also reported that Russian attacks near Vesla Dolnya, about 5 kilometers southeast of Bakhmut, and the Soledar-Bakhmutsky area. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed reports from the 6th that Russian troops took full control of Kodyma. That's the green circle again on your screen, which is 13 kilometers southeast of Bakhmut, and are continuing to push northwards towards Zaporizhzhia and the southern outskirts of Bakhmut itself. Russian forces continued routine artillery strikes on Bakhmut and surrounding settlements. So they just continued their ground attacks, continuing to push northward towards Zaporizhzhia. So we can highlight that too. So 3 areas in which the Russians are having successes in Bakhmut. You got in Soledar, which they take in the Naf Gips factory in mid-August. You got Zaporizhzhia, which is the second circle here that the Russians have pushed through. Let's zoom in down there a little bit. Here's the town of Zaporizhzhia. So the Russians have had some reported successes in Zaporizhzhia, and then here the town of Kodyma just south, as the Russians are trying to extend this front line. So here's what they're trying to do. We can use yellow. Russians are trying to extend this front line outward so they can try to advance on Bakhmut from other directions. So they're trying to make this, they're trying to take as much territory as they can here, even in the north, so they can advance on Bakhmut from other directions, from the north and from the south, because these advancements straight onto Bakhmut here have all failed. They haven't been able to punch through at all, the Russians. So this is what they're attempting to do, and why they're making moves to the north and to the south of the city of Bakhmut. And we're going to see something very similar in the town of Avdiivka coming next. The Russians are attempting the same strategy in the town of Avdiivka. So that's it in Bakhmut. I'm going to circle the Russian successes in Bakhmut. Here's Zaporizhzhia, Kodyma, and Soledar. So you got 3 Russian successes here around the city of Bakhmut. So now we're going to go down to Avdiivka. Here's the Ukrainian controlled city of Avdiivka to the southwest of Bakhmut. Clear this out. There's Avdiivka and Donetsk. Here's the Russian controlled city of Donetsk. Look, it's almost the same thing. Here's Pisky and Marinka. Almost looks similar to, almost looks identical. Here's Avdiivka. Here's Verkhohoretsky. The Russians are launching their offensives from it to the north. Try to extend this front line to the north and to the south outward. So again, so the Russians can advance and try to advance on Avdiivka from other directions, because all of these advances directly onto the city. Oops. Have not been successful. These attempts to go directly at Avdiivka have not been successful. Let's get the update. Russian forces conducted a limited ground attack along the northwestern outskirts of Donetsk city on September 7th. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian troops attacked around Optiny, about 5 kilometers northwest of Donetsk city. Russian sources continued to dismiss claimed Russian advances from Pisky towards Pervomiatsky, about 10 kilometers northwest of Donetsk city. Geolocated combat footage indicates that Russian forces are continuing marginal block-by-block advances within Marinka, on the southwestern outskirts of Donetsk city. Russian troops continued routine artillery strikes along the Avdiivka-Donetsk city front line. So there's been discussions of advances in Pisky and in Marinka. The town of Pisky and Marinka. Zoom in down there. Here's Pisky. The Russians have control over the entire city as they're extending this front line outward along the E50 highway. And then here's the town of Marinka, even further to the southwest of Pisky and Avdiivka. Okay, we're going to zoom right here now. We're going to put the yellow back. Similar strategy. Connect this front line however far out that they're going to push this, or attempt to push this front line. Similar to the north, push this front line wherever they're going with it, as far out as they're going, so they can advance or attempt to advance on Avdiivka from other directions, because the specific attacks on the city of Avdiivka directly onward have all failed. All of them, including the ones in Bakhmut to the north. Very similar strategy from the Russian military in both cities to try to take each city, as we're seeing. It's very similar. So I'm going to highlight on the big map Pisky and Marinka from the Russians. And that is it for the east. And that's going to be it for the east. So we got big Ukrainian counteroffensives to the south and to the southwest of Izium and to the north of Izium. And you got Ukrainian counteroffensives to the northeast of Slovyansk, south of Liman, as the Ukrainians have crossed. Let me clear this out. As the Ukrainians have crossed the Siversk River and are pushing onto the Russian territory. I mean, they're right. The city of Liman is the next major city along this counteroffensive. They have the village of Dobrova to liberate in Yampil. If they're able to do that and connect more of these villages along the river, the Ukrainians have had success along rivers, both in the Inhluets in the south and along the Siversk in the east. If they're able to liberate these villages, that'll definitely assist going across the river back and forth, as the Ukrainians will have control of the waterways here in the Sherwood Forest. That is what it's being dubbed. So that is it in the east. Ukrainian counteroffensive successes south of Izium, south of Liman. You got some Russian successes around Bakhmut, and you got some Russian successes to the south of Donetsk, as they're trying to push those front lines outward. That likely is going to change. Things are likely going to slow down around Bakhmut and Avdiivka, as the Russians are going to have to assist in this Ukrainian counteroffensive push. So they're likely going to have to move their troops to go up here and assist. Go up there and assist in what's happening in the northeast of this Donbas. We'll see. We'll see if those two attacks slow down at all, and they'll regroup their soldiers to assist with this. But right now, the Russians are cut off in Izium, and the Ukrainians are just liberating territory, and they're on the full offensive here in the east. Next, we're going to go up to Kharkiv city, Belgorod, and the international border. Russian city of Belgorod. Ukrainian city Kharkiv. Counteroffensives. Bakhmut. That is the latest Ukrainian city that has been completely liberated here in Kharkiv. Here's Bakhmut. Balaklia. There isn't another L. Balaklia. It's like that. Balaklia. There we go. That is the latest Ukrainian city that has been full-on liberated to the southeast of Kharkiv, next to that E40 highway, as the Ukrainians are punching further to the southeast to connect those front lines. Ukrainian forces advanced at least 20 kilometers deep into Russian-controlled territory north of Izium towards Kupiansk and recaptured about 400 square kilometers between the 6th and the 7th. Russian sources claim that Ukrainian forces advanced east along the E40 and N26 highways towards Izium and Kupiansk, respectively. Geolocated footage shows Ukrainian forces also advanced northeast along the T2110 highway from Bakhmut and Avdiivka and Yakokinov and Volokhiv Yar, which is at the intersection of the T2210 and the E40. Russian sources claim that Ukrainian forces are attempting to advance on Svanitsky, which is just north of Zalamin along the R78, which would cut Bakhmut from rear ground lines of communication. Russian sources reported that Ukrainian forces likely aim to take control of the network of ground lines of communication, including the T2210, the E40, and the N26 highways, to set conditions for further advances south on Izium and east on Kupiansk. Local sources reported that Ukrainian forces struck Izium and Kupiansk. Russian sources claimed using HIMARS in the chat, likely to prevent Russian sources from supplying and reinforcing the front lines from these cities. Russian forces targeted Ukrainian rear areas in Yavirsky, Prishib, Avdiivka, Liman, Zmiv, and all northwest of Bakhmut and the R78. So let's go zoom in over there. Here's those highways that were all referenced. I'm gonna pull up, trying to find a good place to show the intersection here. So here's the intersection of the E40 and the T2210 highway. Let's mark that in purple so y'all can see where that is. Ukrainians have full control of these ground lines of communication here. Here's E40. There's the E40 and the T2210. Also, the N26, which also connects to the T2210. So these are crucial supply lines that have cut the Russians off now from being able to move up any further to take back these cities. The Ukrainians have cut them off, and now the Ukrainians are moving their troops and resources up to this front to prevent the Russians from even trying to get back into the territory that they were in. So the Ukrainians have cut them off along these major crossroads, these major highways. Let's zoom in without the purple there. Zoom in without the purple. Here's the E40 and the T2210. You can see how crucial these highways are. It goes directly, the E40 is such a crucial ground line of communication to have control over for both sides. And as it goes directly from Kharkiv down into Izium, down into Slovyansk, down into Bakhmut, down into Avdiivka, all the way through. It's a very important ground line of communication. It's the darkest line that you can see up and down this whole screen, basically. Very important ground line of communication. Ukraine has full control of the T2210 and E40 crossroads, as well as the N26 and T2210 crossroads. Very crucial ground lines of communication to have control over. Russian forces conducted limited ground attacks north of Kharkiv city on the 7th. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces repelled Russian ground assaults near Potomnik and Ruski Trisky, which is about 15 kilometers of Kharkiv city. Russian sources claim that Russian forces made significant unspecified advances towards Bayrak, Pranoma, and Stedetskov, all along the road connecting Rubizing to the T2104 ground line of communication west of the Siversk Donetsk River, but provided no evidence to support these claims. Russian forces continued routine artillery and rocket strikes on Kharkiv city and the surrounding settlements. Russian sources claimed that Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups conducted unspecified operations in Byly, Koledaz, Vovchansk, and Litstia, all deep in the Russian rear east of the Siversk Donetsk River. So even the Russian sources are claiming, or the Russian sources are reporting on the Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups, these small teams that are able to punch through the Siversk Donetsk River to get to the other side of it and punch through Russian territory. The Russians have had struggles in doing this because the territory is just so terrible to try to advance through it, and it's Ukraine, so they know the territory inside and out. But the tactics that the Ukrainians are using to be able to take these swaths of territory back, it's in smaller teams, and they're highly successful. As the Russians have diverted a lot of their resources away from Izium and Liman to go assist in the southern counteroffensive. They pulled a lot of their resources away from here. Also keep in mind, the 15,000 troops that I mentioned up here in the border, those are volunteers. Those are like the Tiger Battalion, like the Telegram chat volunteer battalions that are waiting. So those are who's going to get sent. So Russia's going to send fodder to go assist with the soldiers in Izium. Again, Russia has about 20,000 troops in Izium as this counteroffensive is ongoing, and Russia's likely going to have to pull these volunteer units that are up here near the border down to go assist with the Russians that are surrounded in Izium. Not going well. Not going well overall for the Russians whatsoever. We're seeing more, just visually, you're just seeing more and more blue as we're going here. It wasn't looking good in the beginning of the summer when we were seeing Russia blitzkrieg here in the east again, taking Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. But also I said at the time, hey, listen, they've used all of their resources, their best, which is the Wagner private military contractors. They had the Chechens here. They put all of their might behind taking these two cities. And Ukraine still fought to like the very, very end. And then they had to retreat. And since then, they haven't allowed the Russians to advance any further or take any other major city here in the east. And the only successes, again, that we're seeing is incremental around to the north and to the south of Bakhmut, and then to the north and to the south of Avdiivka. But that is just so incremental, and that's likely going to be changing here as the Russians are going to have to assist in with the Ukrainian counteroffensives and draw their troops and resources away from even these little successes that they have had in Bakhmut and Avdiivka to help assist the troops that are surrounded here in Izium, because it's not going to go well it's not going well in general for the Russians in Ukraine right now, but it's especially not going well for the Russians that are stationed out of Izium, and that's a huge major hub of Russians here in the Izium front. And we'll keep you guys updated as that changes on a daily basis. Next, we're going to be getting into the southern axis. We're going to be getting into the southern axis of Ukraine. Key Ukrainian controlled cities, you got Mykolaiv, Kryvyi Rih, Nikopol on the other side of the Dnieper River with Inodahar, Zaporizhzhia, and we got Odessa down here. We'll include Odessa. Here's the Ukrainian counteroffensive directions in the south. And then here's each individual Russian occupied city in the southern axis of Ukraine: Kherson, Novokhovka, Melitopol, Berdyansk, Mariupol. Those are the major cities, and then the Zaporizhzhia NPP here in Inodahar. Then here's the one Russian, almost a counter. You got to call it a counteroffensive now from the Russians at this point, even though they're in Ukraine. But Russia's on defense. Russia's on defense mode right now. So the Russians are having back and forth between Mykolaiv and Kherson. So that is the one area that the Russians are fighting back or advancing or attempting to push soldiers forward to repel the Ukrainian advancements here. That's the only area we got here in Kherson. First, we're going to go into the full update in the southern axis, and then I'll update y'all on the counteroffensives, which are a little bit more specific. So just in general, for the whole southern axis, Russian forces did not conduct any confirmed ground attacks in western Zaporizhzhia on September 7th and continued routine air and artillery strikes along the entire line of contact in the Zaporizhzhia Oblast. Russian and Ukrainian sources continue to claim that the other side shelled Inodahar, so they're finger pointing on about shelling the power plant throughout the day on September 7th. Inodahar Mayor Dmytro Orlov reported that Russian shelling damaged the Lunch substation, causing power outages throughout the city. Russian forces continued routine missile and artillery attacks along the front lines in Mykolaiv and Dnipropetrovsk oblasts on September 7th. So just back and forth finger pointing on shelling the power plant. Keep in mind, Russia doesn't even admit that they're at war, so I don't believe the Russians at all, personally, and they're using the power plant as a nuclear shield. They have military equipment stored there. Vladimir Putin himself came out and said, hey, there's no military station there, despite the IAEA going there and seeing it for their own eyes. Vladimir Putin will say, hey, we don't have any military there. We just have our Rozgavyrda troops there, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's the Russian National Guard, and that is their military. Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin double speak everything, and so do their supporters. So more specifically, the Ukrainian counteroffensives. Let's go zoom in on that. We're going to go zoom in on the counteroffensives here in Mykolaiv, Zaporizhzhia. Mykolaiv, Kryvyi Rih. Here's the Ukrainian counteroffensive directions. Here's Kherson, Novokhovka, and then I'm going to put the Dnieper River in purple again. The Dnieper River. Okay, that's all right there. And then I'm going to highlight the two river crossings that have been destroyed. The Antonivsky Bridge and the Kakhovka hydroelectric plant. Those are the two crossings here. This is the counteroffensive in the south, and then the Russians fighting back between Mykolaiv and Kherson. All right, so here's the counteroffensive update in the south. Ukrainian officials reiterated that Ukrainian forces targeting Russian logistics nodes, manpower and equipment concentrations, transportation networks, and command and control points in the Kherson Oblast. Ukraine's Southern Operational Command noted that Ukrainian troops carried out over 250 fire missions between the 6th and the 7th. The Ukrainian General Staff noted that Ukrainian strikes have significantly damaged Russian and fuel ammunition stores, impacting Russian logistical capabilities and undermining combat capabilities along the southern axis. Social media footage taken by residents of the Kherson Oblast on September 7th provides visual evidence of the continuing Ukrainian operational level interdiction campaign. Ukrainian forces likely targeted Russian military assets and logistic nodes in two main areas around Kherson City and Novokhovka. Those are where you see the two lines in yellow. That's where the Antonivsky Bridge and the Kakhovka hydroelectric plant. Residents reported an explosion and posted pictures of smoke in Oletsky, which is about 7 kilometers southeast of Kherson City. Ukrainian sources also reported strikes in Cherobogivka area, which is on the outskirts of Kherson City, on the night of September 6th to the 7th. Satellite imagery shows damage to the Novokhovka hydroelectric power plant and the nearby road bridge, which appears to have fallen away completely. Ukrainian sources claim that Ukrainian strikes hit a Russian equipment concentration in the Novokhovka area. Ukrainian and Russian sources continued to report kinetic activity along the two main lines of effort in Kherson. In northern Kherson Oblast south of the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast border, and in western Kherson Oblast along the Mykolaiv Oblast border. Geolocated combat footage and imagery further confirm that Ukrainian troops advanced into Vitskopilia and Novovenetsensky, both within 5 kilometers of the Kherson-Dnipropetrovsk Oblast border. Russian sources, including Russian Ministry of Defense, inadvertently confirmed that Ukrainian forces are making gains in western Kherson Oblast in the Stuky-Stavok pocket, which is about 65 kilometers northeast of Kherson city, and along the Inhlowets River. Forgot to highlight the Inhlowets quick. Tributary of the Dnieper. Loosely, it's not perfect. This is where the Inhlowets is. It goes all the way up. That's the Inhlowets. Russian sources continue to discuss Ukrainian offensive operations around Stuky, Stavok, and the surrounding settlements of Bezmeny, Kostroma, Valtsty, Araktov, and Shelistliv. I totally butchered that last one. The Russian Ministry of Defense and other sources continued to downplay Ukrainian counteroffensive operations and emphasized claimed Ukrainian manpower and equipment losses along the Kherson Oblast frontline. Daniel. The Russian Ministry of Defense that Ukrainian sources did not conduct any offensive operations in the Mykolaiv-Kryvyi Rih direction on September 7th. Several Russian millbloggers similarly shifted their focus to ongoing Ukrainian counteroffensive actions in Kharkiv Oblast and did not report on operations in the south in their unusual granular detail. Both the Russian Ministry of Defense and the Russian millblogger information space will likely reorient focus in the coming days to developments in the Kharkiv Oblast, especially as many millbloggers are adopting the position that the Kherson Oblast counteroffensive is a deliberate Ukrainian distraction from the operations in the Kharkiv Oblast. I'd have to agree with that part. That the mill bloggers that are focusing on Kharkiv are doing so because they're concerned. They're panicking. They've shifted their focus to the east, and they're saying what's true, that what's going on in the south isn't the actual counteroffensive. The real counteroffensive is taking place in the east, and we're seeing it. The Ukrainians are liberating territory. Staryi Caravan Ozirny, even the Russian mill bloggers are trying to call it out. Hey, that's not the real counteroffensive. The real one's here in the east. But now the thing is though, the Ukraine's got Russia in an okie doke, because if Russia then diverts all their sources and resources, which they've done multiple times now and likely are going to do it again. Now, if they do that, Ukraine, now we'll just move in and now we'll start taking territory here. If you're going to divert resources back over to the east, they're playing ping pong with the Russians between the east and the south and their counteroffensives. So they're smoke and mirrors. They're definitely outsmarting the Russian military. I mean, the Russian military's changed commanders 3 times. They've changed generals out there in the battlefield 10 times because they've been killed. It's just there's no hope really for the Russian military at all in terms of a ground offensive standpoint. There's nothing that the Russians can do right now at this point. The Ukrainians have them in their back pocket. So that's it with the counteroffensives. I'd have to agree with the Russian mill bloggers in a sense that the real counteroffensive is in the east, and that's why they've also shifted the Russian mill bloggers are shifting their copium focus on the east, because that is where the counteroffensive is taking place. A couple other facets of information here for y'all to update on. Nothing about the mobilization and force generation efforts. Check out yesterday's video if you want to find out about the latest battalion being sent into Ukraine and how much they're being paid, their monthly payments, etc. There's just nothing to update on that note today. So activity in Russian occupied areas. So this is what's going on in some of these occupied cities in southern Ukraine. Russian occupation authorities announced on November 4th as an ideal date for scheduling annexation referenda. So they've moved the date from September 11th now to November 4th. That's the ideal date. Okay. Russian Federation Council First Deputy Chairman Andrei Cherchak announced the occupation authorities in Ukraine should properly and symbolically hold annexation referenda on Russian National Unity Day, which is November 4th. So that is why they chose November 4th. National Unity Day. The Kherson Oblast Occupation Administration announced that Kherson annexation referenda will occur on November 4th. Other occupation administrations will likely also push back their referenda to coerce increased civilian cooperation with the occupation governments. Zaporizhzhia Occupation Administration Council member Vladimir Rogov announced that the Zaporizhzhia Oblast Administration occupation will pay social benefits to Ukrainians who reside in occupied Zaporizhzhia Oblast if their primary residence is in another occupied territory or in unoccupied Ukraine, indicating that the Occupation Administration aims to convince or coerce more civilian support for annexation referenda. The Kharkiv Occupation Administration redistributed the first 15 Russian passports to Vovotchansk, Kharkiv Oblast residents on September 7th. Russian occupation authorities will likely further this delay due to continued failures to impose their authority and the disruption of ongoing Ukrainian operations. So between the Ukrainian civilians pushing back and the counteroffensives, it's going to likely continue derailing these occupation referenda for annexing these cities in the south and in the east. Russian occupation authorities are likely preparing to hold more sham trials of Ukrainian prisoners of war. The Donetsk People's Republic General Prosecutor's Office announced on September 7th that it charged an unspecified number of Ukrainian POWs with unspecified war crimes on the 7th and will hold trials in Donetsk City and Mariupol, Donetsk Oblast on unspecified dates. The DNR General Prosecutor's Office noted that DNR courts previously sentenced foreign fighter POWs to death, indicating that DNR courts will likely sentence these Ukrainian POWs to similar or same sentences. So Ukrainian POWs are likely, imagine, the best thing I can imagine with these sham trials to think of is in what's the third Batman movie where they got I can't even remember the character's name, where he's in charge and they're holding trials and you get sent to death and you got to walk across the ice. That's what the proceedings are similar to. If you've seen the Dark Knight Rises and you've seen that the proceedings that they held in the city in the movie, that's the biggest thing that comes to mind when I think of these sham trials of the Ukrainian POWs that are being sent to death. So key takeaways from all of that: Ukrainian forces are skillfully exploiting Russia's deployment of forces away from the Izium Kharkiv area to retake territory and threaten Russian ground lines of communication in the area. Promptly demoralized responses from Russian millbloggers. So demoralization of the Russian millbloggers. They're full of hope, full of cope. Nothing's going well right now for the Russian millbloggers. And again, the Russian millbloggers have butt heads with the Kremlin on messaging, because ideology ain't going to carry you in a war like this. I mean, it can carry you as far as the Russians have got to this point. But now the Ukraine is on the offense. Russia can't report that. Russia can't say they're taking losses. So there's back and forth between Russia's own millbloggers that are, again, they're for the Russian ideology, but they're also loosely reporting on actual factual things that are happening on the ground, loosely. Russian President Vladimir Putin attempted to deny the International Atomic Energy Agency's September 6th report on the situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Ukrainian forces continued strikes on Russian logistics nodes, manpower and equipment concentration, transportation networks, and command and control points in the Kherson Oblast. Russian and Ukrainian sources reported kinetic activity in northern Kherson Oblast and in western Kherson Oblast along the Kherson-Mykolaiv border. Russian forces conducted ground attacks north of Kharkiv city, northwest of Slovyansk, northeast of Siversk, south and northeast of Bakhmut, and northwest of Donetsk city. Ukrainian forces gained 400 square kilometers of territory northwest of Izium on September 6th and 7th as part of an opportunistic and highly effective counteroffensive in southern Kharkiv Oblast. Russian occupation authorities announced on November 4th, which is the potential date for annexation referenda in occupied areas of Ukraine. Hey, if you like these map updates, the best way you can do to support them going forward is to hit the like on the video, hit the like on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow the Facebook page for more map breakdown updates. This was your map breakdown for day 199 of the war in Ukraine. All right, now let's get into the video clip section of the live stream. Any of you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. That whole map breakdown, shout out to editor Larry. He'll have a beautifully edited version of that entire map breakdown that we've just been doing for the last hour. He cuts it down to like 20 minutes. Way smaller version of that in case you just started tuning in at the end or you missed some stuff in there. He does a great job editing it together and posting it. We'll have that posted for y'all tomorrow. Any questions y'all have, spark up, comment where y'all are tuning in from, what city, what state, where in the world y'all are watching from. Ukrainian counteroffensives in the east, liberating territory in the east. Southern counteroffensives was a smokescreen for what's really happening in the east. Any questions y'all have before we get into it? Thank you, Steven N, Gary Bates. Fort Walton Beach, Florida is tuned in. Texas is tuned in. Hudson, Wisconsin is tuned in. I'm getting the headphones in for the video clip section. We go through videos. Did you hear about Wagner soldiers being caught? Yes, I have. But as you know, I don't play in-depth videos of POWs, no matter who they are, even war criminals. Walsenburg, Colorado, Ontario, Canada is tuned in. Welcome. So happy to have you. And if you're watching in the background and you would like to comment in the live chat on YouTube, we just have it set to subscriber only. And then same with Facebook, it's set to follower only. It helps keep some of the bots out of the chat. All right, I got to set this now because I had a different source for earlier. Perfect. They are pushing everywhere. Kyiv goes on the offensive. This is from Foreign Policy Insider Access. The Ukrainian military has recaptured nearly 300 square miles of territory in a lightning dual counteroffensive in the south and the east of the country, a top Ukrainian general said on Thursday, marking perhaps the most significant advance of the war in months. Lewis, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. After weeks of stalled fighting in and around the eastern Donbas region, Ukrainian troops began pushing Russian forces back from the country's second largest city of Kharkiv just 6 days ago, threatening to cut off vital supply lines for the Kremlin's assault. And videos posted to social media showed the snap offensive wasn't just racking up Russian casualties, but rows of prisoners. We're seeing more and more of them. The Ukrainian push on two fronts, striking both east toward Kharkiv and south towards Kherson, has put the Russian forces on the back foot. Russia moved troops south when the big punch came in the east. My understanding is that they are pushing everywhere. The Timothy Milanov, the advisor to the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. So they're pushing everywhere. Kyiv going on the offensive. Here's a report from Reuters, along with some new U.S. military aid on the way. You guys would like to hear, wouldn't you? You guys would totally like to hear the video.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced new aid from Washington for Ukraine on Thursday. One, a financing package worth about $1 billion. The other, weapons worth $675 million.
We know this is a pivotal moment. More than 6 months into Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, as your counteroffensive is now underway and proving effective.
Blinken was in Kyiv for the announcement. visiting a children's hospital and a famous mine-sweeping dog, a Jack Russell Terrier named Patron.
There's
Цього
Patron.
тижня маємо хороші новини з Харківщини.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is saying that his military has made battlefield gains in the Kharkiv area in the country's east, taking several towns and villages from Russian forces. He says that every citizen feels proud of their warriors. A Ukrainian general said Thursday that it has recaptured about 270 square miles of territory and advanced about 30 miles behind Russian lines. It was the most detailed public assessment so far of Ukraine's ongoing counteroffensive. Kyiv has been otherwise guarded about its progress so as not to compromise the operation. Russia has confirmed fighting in the Kharkiv area, but has not confirmed any losses.
Of course they won't. So that touched on what's happening in Ukraine at this point. Again, Ukraine military gains. And I also forgot to put this on there. U.S. aid Ukraine. Blinken visits Ukraine to offer new U.S. military aid for counteroffensive. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Kyiv on Thursday to pledge $2 billion in fresh security aid, including support the Biden administration hopes will bolster a Ukrainian counteroffensive aimed at pushing back Russian forces in the south and the east. Blinken's second visit to the Ukrainian capital since Russia's February invasion comes as Ukraine reported progress in its effort to retake territory seized by Russia near Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. Meeting President Vladimir Zelensky, meeting President Vladimir Zelensky at his fortified presidential administration building in Kyiv, Blinken said his visit came at a pivotal moment for Ukraine, noting the counteroffensive was proving effective. I think the reason for the success is that this is your homeland, not Russia's, and it's basic as that. Facts. I mean, just the fact that it's Ukraine's territory, it's Ukraine's homeland, they're fighting for their sovereignty, it's not Russia's. It's clear in the effort being shown by the Russian troops, and there's just the effort with what the Kremlin is throwing out there in their military, or their military being thrown out there. Volunteer units, just cannon fodder that the Russians are throwing out. Cannon fodder orcs. This is a very important signal that the United States is with us, Zelensky said. Blinken also visited a children's hospital where he met youngsters injured in Russian bombardments and toured damaged buildings in Irpin, a city just outside of Kyiv that was a site of fierce fighting as Ukrainian forces resisted Russia's attempt to encircle the capital. Blinken announced a new $2.2 billion foreign military financing package for Ukraine and 18 other countries deemed at risk of at a risk of future Russian aggression. An official earlier said this package would be worth $2 billion. Approximately $1 billion will be allocated to Ukraine, an official said. The rest would be divided among Albania, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Estonia, Georgia, Greece, Kosovo, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia. The money is intended to defend sovereignty, modernize security forces, enhance partnerships with Transatlantic Military Alliance, NATO, and strengthen capacity to counter Russian influence and aggression. There's photos. Antony Blinken meets with Vladimir Zelensky. There's some photos. Blinken visiting the children's hospital. Blinken and Zelensky. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken receives Order of Prince Yaroslav the Wise of the second degree from the Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky. So he received an award. See if we can pull that up here quick. See if there's any video of their meeting. Here's Blinken in the children's hospital with Patron, the dog. Famous dog in Ukraine, bomb sniffer.
First of all, you have to try to establish friendship with him.
That helps.
Yeah.
That's cheating, but that's okay.
Oh, you got to hold him? Alright, be careful. That's a combat veteran right there.
Please. I know. How many times do you have to do this? How many visits?
Patrick doesn't have time for photos.
You need an agent.
Look, he's ready to go find bombs. What are you doing? Holding a combat veteran right there.
First of all, you have to trying to establish friendship with him.
That helps, huh?
Yeah.
That's cheating, but that's okay.
So that's Blinken with the good boy Patron. Here's Zelensky and Blinken meeting each other. During the meeting in Kyiv, President Zelensky thanked U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken for the support of the Ukrainian people. In turn, Blinken assured the Ukrainian president that the U.S. will put pressure on Russia until the aggression against Ukraine halts.
Я хотів би подякувати вам, вашій особистості, присутності, подякувати адміністрації президента Байдена, йому особисто. Також
Patron, got it.
хотів би подякувати Конгресу Сполучених Штатів Америки за підтримку в різних напрямках, фінансову підтримку, яка виділяється на підтримку нашої української економіки, а також зміцненню нашої армії.
Радий ще раз вас бачити мого другу.
Oh, okay, so it's all in you. Okay, we need the English one.
Хотів би подякувати.
Oh, is there a translated version? Blinken. Nope, not the slash though. No, that's from April 25th, so that's old news. They don't have any English videos. No, that's from April. That's from the old round. That's in not in English. Oh, I guess we just have the Patron video to go off of. See, I don't think there will be any. No, that's from April. State.gov. Here it is on state.gov, but I'm not seeing anything other than just the Blinken with Patron right now. Other than all the video from the 25th. So let's continue on. So that's Blinken offering new U.S. military aid for counteroffensives in Ukraine to President Zelensky. Here's Russian missiles hit Ukraine's Kharkiv, says local officials. Russian response to the Ukrainian counteroffensives in the area.
Близко два таких вот хороших. А перед этим
There were two quite big explosions nearby. Before there were claps in the distance. Immediately after, there were two big explosions.
Ну да, мой вот дом. Вот, то есть мы уже не первый раз.
This is my home. It is not the first time our windows are broken, and we are not the only ones to have broken windows.
I saw the smoke rising, that's all. At first, the smoke was black, in the shape of a mushroom. Everything was gray and white colored. I couldn't even see the neighboring building in front of me. Everything happened in a moment. The smoke cleared very fast, too.
Those were civilians talking about Russian missiles hitting the area of Ukraine's Kharkiv, likely in response to the successful counteroffensives in the area. Here's more video from Radio Free Europe. 8-year-old sings on Lviv streets to raise money for the war.
Це реквізит не мій, мого брата. Але в нас головна ставка на Юрі, тому тобто він витягує співом. Маю надію, що всі мої недоліки, оскільки я взагалі не музикант абсолютно. Я вчився грати там буквально 4 тижні.
The song mentions Bucha, a city near Kyiv where hundreds of civilians were allegedly killed by Russian forces.
Немає сонця, тільки ночі, нема життя, закриті очі, нема весни її.
Молодець. Ну, наші діти, вони взагалі, це дуже чудова справа. Наші хлопці, хай вони там тримаються, перемога буде за нами, буде Україна.
Розстріляна весна, розстріляні мрії, і стогне від болю земля в моїй Україні. Розстріляна весна.
So far, he's raised $5,000 for the army.
Розстріляні мрії, і стогне від болю земля.
Бо я сиджу тут, я собі вільно ходжу, на мене нічого не падає, так би мовити, а хлопці на сході. Тому, коли Юра запропонував цю ідею, в мене очі засвітилися, і я всіляко його підтримував. І тепер буду підтримувати доки...
Війна не скінчиться.
О, я хотів сказати, поки в нього сили будуть, але пацан далі трошки пішов.
Поки війна не скінчиться, поки наші воїни не переможуть.
Money raised by Yuri has gone towards night vision goggles on and off-road vehicles for the army. Glory to Ukraine, I am raising funds for the Ukrainian army. So, 8-year-old boy in the town of Lviv in western Ukraine raising funds. Just pull up the Mercado Media Discord. Mercado Media Discord server. Join our Discord server if you have not done so. And I'll open up the Orc Hunter video clips channel. Share all the video clips y'all have posted into here. What do we have here? First video. Oh, no, can't play that one. Not safe for work video. Try to share the ones that are not safe for work into the NS, the not safe for work channel. That's why it's there. So share the videos that I can't play on stream into that one, please. United Nations delegation has arrived in Kharkiv.
Kharkiv, Ukraine. As air raid sirens are going off above me, I can confirm that the United Nations have arrived in the frontline city of Kharkiv, Ukraine. More to come. Sarah Ashton Cirillo, Kharkiv, Ukraine. As air raid sirens are going off above me, I can confirm that the United Nations have arrived.
The United Nations have arrived in Kharkiv. Documenting the destruction in Kharkiv, armored car life in Kharkiv. No audio, just got the bullet in the window. What else we got? Join our Discord server here. Thank you to everybody. This very place for this rag is under the feet of the Ukrainian warriors of the 92nd Brigade. All right. Video of Ukrainian ZSU-23-4 Shika firing off rounds. Oh, apparently it's got extra loud music to it as well, so I'm going to turn that down some. Yeah, Russia's failing miserably. I gotta be careful with that song. I think it's copyrighted. But that again, that shows a Ukrainian ZSU-234 Shika firing off some rounds. It could be against some drones in the air. We saw this video yesterday about the Ukrainian counteroffensives. Here's Bakhmut in the Kharkiv Oblast, Ukrainian flag on the rooftop of the city hall. Ukrainian flag rises above City Hall in Bakhmut, southeast of Kharkiv city. It's the latest Ukrainian city that's been liberated. There's another photo. Glory to Ukraine. There's the soldiers in Bakhmut. Bakhmut. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I wish I could say that city the same every time. Here's video. Bakhmut has been liberated. There's the Ukrainian troops in it. There's the soldiers. Here's more. People there welcoming the Ukrainian soldiers and the liberation. Ridding the Russian occupiers. More photos of it. Russian billboard reads, "We are one people with Russia." Well, not really. Russian billboard coming down. Being torn down, actually. Ladies greet Ukrainian soldiers and liberated Bakhmut after 6 months of Russian occupation. Boys, we have some pancakes left. Would you like? A bit later, please. Better still hide. Shelling is still possible.
Все добре, все добре.
Молодцы! Молодцы! Вы коллегу переформал сегодня.
Дякую вам, дякую.
Молилися, щоб ви до нас
Ну клас, все.
Я так спасибо, що ви до нас прийшли.
Ви на всяк випадок все посидіть, будь ласка, в підвалі, будь ласка, тому що може бути ще обстріли. Но ми вже тут, вже все добренько.
Спасибо, мальчики.
Ні, там вже все.
На салаті осталися. Будете?
Трішечки пізніше, трішечки пізніше.
So look at the Ukrainian civilians welcoming the soldiers. Putin's generals right now. Look, they got Kadria. Oh, they have all of them photoshopped onto the... Yeah. There's a good photo. Help. Help. We already saw that video somewhere in Kharkiv region. So this is just showing the Ukrainian successes in the east. What do we got going on here? Very chaotic conversation. We could hear some interesting things. LNR soldiers, so these are the Lugansk People's Republic soldiers, the Russian side, are not satisfied that one, they fight for 7 months without rotation. I mean, officership, loot everything. My rotation in the Middle East was 9 months, but okay.
Фурами сюда вывозили. Ты кто, комендант Луганска? Ты этого не знал? Фуры приходили сюда, блядь, с бытовой техникой, сорттехникой.
Infighting going on in the Lugansk People's Republic, things just aren't going well.
Ты этого не знал?
А мы в отпуск ни разу не съездили, блядь, за 7 месяцев.
И ты мне руководство показываешь. Да это вафлаки, блядь, которых перестрелять надо. Все, блядь, от комбатов, сука, от Волги, блядь, от зампотылов, все возили фуры, блядь. Все вывезли.
Сюда все привезли.
Машин сколько новых, суки, пригнали сюда, блядь. А глянь, на чем мы ездим, глянь. Что ты не на ней какой-то такой? Ну что ты, блядь, давай поменяем. Давай, ну ладно, на Ниву махнем. Грамотеешь.
Мы больше никуда не пойдем. Вот расстрелите нас, блядь. Вы нас домой, чтобы их отправили домой.
Mass confusion. Ukrainians are coming. They got their Karens in there.
Звони в российскую прокуратуру, звони, пусть приезжают, блядь. Хуй двинем, не двинемся, блядь, отсюда. А сейчас оружие только ставить сидят. Конечно.
This is what it like. So this is like a behind the scenes, you know, when they were filming Lord of the Rings and the orcs were kind of just all hanging out and they were taking massive L's left and right towards like the second movie, like second half of the second movie. This is like what that would look like. Okay, she got her Z t-shirt on in the background too. Confused fascists. That's what confused fascists look like in a circle. Ukrainian troops being welcomed by the local population in Kharkiv Oblast. Look at him. Wow, the entire street came out. So that's Ukrainian troops being welcomed by the local population in Kharkiv. That's in Borivsky in Kharkiv region. So we got start of the video. Here's where they're at. Let's look at see where that street is, because we can, and this is the internet. So let's look and see where that street was in the video, and then we'll see where it is in relation to our war map. So here's the road that they're driving along. Zoom out. Oh wow. They're moving on to Kupiansk, yo. The Ukrainians are moving on to Kupiansk. That's north of Lima. Look how far. Okay. Let's do this. Yo. That video, they're north of Izium. They're up here. Where is okay, I gotta find. There's Lazov. There's so much. These maps are different. Let me try to line them up here. Okay. Svetchkov, Starniovkova. It's a very small village here. I'm gonna try to get it lined up where I can remember it. So let's look up the P07 highway. Let's try to find that. Oops. The P07 highway. N26. Can't be that far down. Where is... Why am I struggling? Okay, let's try to find Kupiansk on here. There we go, there's Kupiansk. Okay, I found where we're at now. Wow. So that would be... Here's the... Is that the P07? Kind of hard to see it. Okay. We're in the area. I found Kupiansk. Gotta travel a little further. Hrushivka. Let's go a little bit. Gotta travel a little ways. No. Right. Oh, I had it. We're like right here. It's not marked. Borivsky. There's Hrushivka and off the N26, right? They have it labeled as the P07 on this map, but that's the N26. So just south off of the N26. They're further into the territory than the map's even showing. Look at, that's here. Let me mark that quick, since I did all that work to try to figure out where that is. Oh my goodness, the Ukrainians might be further than even the map is reflecting. So according to the geolocation from the video, and watching the Ukrainians drive down the street, that's in this territory. One more, yeah, that is, God, I'm trying to find it exactly. Let me try to get it exactly. Yeah, Borivsky. Right here. Ooh, the Ukrainians might be a little bit further in than what the map is even reflecting right now. That's right here. Found it. That's how far in the Ukrainians are in. Not maybe they don't have it reflected because that's not everywhere. Like that's not reflective of the entire landscape here. That's maybe just likely a unit that's punched through. I don't know, but geolocation, this is where that is located. That's even further inward, further westward than even the map has updated on here. One more time on that so you guys can see what I'm seeing here. So here's the video. What they do is we'll watch it again, right? Going down the street, and then I'll pull up the street and we can see it. And then here's the GPS location of the street. And then you line that up. And what I did is I went to Google Maps, found it, and then I got to line it up with the war map in terms of where the colors are, because I'm a visual person too. I want to know where the territories are, so that's how we can figure out that the Ukrainians are a little further in than what the map is even reflecting. So let's watch that video one more time. Oh my goodness. I'm on the deep state map. Do I need to refresh again? Oh, on the deep state map? Okay, well, I'll go to that next then. It might be. All right, let's go. Let's watch this one more time, and then I'll show you all the street. I'll look at deep state map and Dennis's map after this. This guy right here, though. You see the guy who was on his knees, stood up? Wow. That's real. What song is that? jumping up and down. Yo, they're deep into Russian territory, the Ukrainians. So again, I copy pasted the geolocation. I got Dennis's map now. So let's go back. Here it is on Google Maps first, GPS. I don't think I'm going to be able to drop a... No, they don't have one. It's a small village, so they don't have any Google cars going through. Oh. Nope. There's one spot, but it's not letting me drop on it. No. Let me shut it down. Maybe in the city? No, no dots to drop in on it. But here's where that video drove through. Now let's go to Dennis's map. Oh wow, it is reflected. Wow, so how much territory is that from the original front line? Let's pull up. Man, I'll have to include this in tomorrow's map update. It's very fluid when I go through this information with y'all. Sometimes I learn things with y'all, and it is what it is. So that's about, geez, 40 kilometers that the Ukrainians have gained. They have they're circling. They have these Russians completely circled. Not to the very east, obviously, but around this U shape. It's like the Ukrainians are doing this. It's like the Ukrainians are doing the similar strategy, obviously with less resources and capabilities, but they're taking larger swaths of territory. But like they're doing to Izium what the Russians are trying to do here in Bakhmut and Avdiivka, but faster. Now at this point, they're surrounding Izium to the north. Look at how they're punching through. Kupiansk is the next city. You got a major Russian hub there. The 20th Guards, the All Army. Russian Federation is in there. Again, credit to Denis Davidov for this map and the hard work that they do. Look at that. It is reflected on here. I'm wondering if the ISW map will be reflected soon. That's what I marked here. So we can actually, it'd be like this. Let's try to make it similar. Oof. All of Balikla. Something like that is what we're going to be seeing in Ukrainian. This is Ukrainian territory. Ukrainians have punched through. And then you got the next city here of Kupiansk, which they're right. How far away from Kupiansk are they? How far away now from Kupiansk is that? Oh my goodness. They got half the distance to go to Kupiansk than they've taken in like the last week for liberating cities. And if they're on this roll, because right now it seems like just there's nothing the Russians can do right now. They've diverted all of their resources to be able to stop this to the south, while the Ukrainians now are just like all out offensive. I don't even know what the words to say here, because this is just so I was not even expecting this. We were seeing them prod here south of Slovyansk to the south of Izium, be it prodding and probing into the Sherwood Forest, being able to cross Siversk. We've been seeing the in Dubrovny and Borodarichny and the successes that they've had here, but oh my goodness, they've taken 40 kilometers. And that's proven not by my words alone, not by a mainstream news article that you're going to find. Maybe you'll see it written tomorrow or in a couple days. But you got to do some work. You got video or work that they did on Twitter here. Shout out to these accounts that did the work here, and I just get to repeat it. Or echo it, I should say. But this is the work that you got that it takes. And this is what they do to figure out where the Russian military is or where Ukrainian military is. You get a video, geolocate it, dang, that's a lot further into the Russian territory than the reports we're seeing. Okay, that signifies that the Ukrainian military might be a little bit further inward than what the reports are even saying based upon video. So this is likely going to be switching all blue up here north of Izium, as the Ukrainians have punched through 40 kilometers of territory here. They've completely the Ukrainians have completely liberated the city of Bakhmut. I'm struggling with that. Bakhmut, and are on their way to Kupiansk. Try to finish off that. If they take Kupiansk, the Russians left in Izium are done. Like they're already done because the Ukrainians have taken this bridge out here. Let's see if I can pull it up on the map. I have seen reports of this bridge between Goroviatka and Borova here across the Oskil Reservoir that has been destroyed. So again, that's why we're saying that they're trying to cut the Russians off at Izium. They're directly north of Izium now, the Ukrainians. They've cut off their exit across the river. If the Ukrainians are able to successfully liberate Kupiansk, that's the next closest hub to Izium, and then Izium will fall shortly or soon after. Very surprising moves being made, which the Ukrainians have been indicating of such a counteroffensive taking place, but I didn't think it would be such a large swaths of territory being taken at a time up here. They really diverted the Russian resources up to the south if they're able to do this. The Russians full on panicked and moved all of their troops to the south in Kherson to assist in what the hell was going on down there. And now the Ukrainians are taking full advantage in a full send situation over here, liberating territory and villages in response. Just amazing to see. You guys are watching. This is gonna go down like history. Alexander, like David Goliath type. It's just amazing to see. Wild. Let's continue. What else we got here from the Mercado Media Discord server? Join the Mercado Media Discord if you have not done so. Return Alive Foundation bought 11 solid armored vehicles for 2.3 million for the bridge that participated in the defense of the Azovstal. Specifically for the 36th Brigade of Marines, which participated in the defense of Mariupol and the Azovstal. So they get new vehicles.
Перед вами один з 11 спеціальних броньованих автомобілей, куплених фондом «Повернись живим» для Збройних сил України. Чергова угода на товари військового призначення реалізована.
What is... Hold on. Is there responses to this? I don't exactly understand. Okay. So these are some fresh vehicles just being sent to the 36th Brigade? Who were the Return Alive Foundation? What is that? Some rich dude bought them a bunch of vehicles? I'm not seeing anything about that. Interesting. 11 solid armored vehicles for 2.3 million. I'm not seeing any more details about that. Somewhere in Kharkiv Oblast, Russian column destroyed. Somewhere in Kharkiv.
Доброго вечора, блядь. А вообще ранок. Наколотили мужчинки за ночь, блядь. Передавайте нашим, що ми їбашим.
So that's destroyed Russian column somewhere in Kharkiv Oblast. Thank you to everybody sending videos. The Ukrainian army in the liberated Borochivka village northeast of Balikla city. The city of Balikla that we just went into. Been liberated. Ukrainian flags being raised. 40 kilometers of territory. The Ukrainians have punched 40 kilometers of territory the Ukrainians have punched through. Incredible. All right, Ukrainian flag being raised. A Russian T-80BV is hit by Ukrainian forces. Oof. Oof, oof. Destroyed. Hammered it. What do we got here? This is in a different language. Crimea, Novofedorivka, Krastinoye. Oh, this is Ukrainian sources. So this is in Crimea. Looks like a plume of smoke. Across the water, across the Black Sea. More Russian targets being hit. A Ukrainian tank pulling the BAT-2 armored track layer of the Russian forces on the Bakhmut front. Ukraine pulling Russian military equipment. That's what you're seeing here. Oof, this counteroffensive is looking a lot like when Ukraine kicked Russia out of the Kyiv Oblast. Looking very similar to what we saw like around the beginning of the middle of April, end of April, when Russia started just taking massive L's around Kyiv and had to divert all their troops to the east. We're reliving that movie again. Something very good is burning in Nova Kakhovka. This is near the hydroelectric plant. Hey, what up, Marie? We might need to put a fresh link in. The link that we have every time doesn't work, so we need to put a new link in every single time to the bot. A chimpanzee ran away from a Ukrainian zoo, was talked into returning after zookeepers offered her a raincoat, a hug, and a bike ride. Interesting. Wow. Chimpanzee ran away from the zoo. Same. Sometimes I need a raincoat, a hug, and a bike ride. That's funny. Another foreign, I'm gonna have to translate this because I don't know what it says. The emotions of Ukrainian fighters in the Kherson direction. So the Ukrainian fighters that are fighting against the Russians in Kherson. Some combat footage here. No, Terra unit's in a different spot. So you got Ukrainian soldiers fighting in Kherson. Another video. Just look with what pleasure our guys of the armed forces of Ukraine throw off a Russian rag somewhere in the Kharkiv direction. So throwing the Russian flag coming down. Get that thing out of here. There it goes. Bye. Okay, bye. That's a good spot. And up with the Ukrainian flag. Ukrainian flag raised, Russian flag yeeted. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to climb up there and do that. I'm afraid of heights, so they'd have to get someone else to do that if I was involved in this. I would not participate. Too high up. Okay, we had some Queen Elizabeth stuff in here. Try to keep it focused on the topic. Oh, what's this? That's her. When was this posted? September 8th, 2:30. They're showing Russian responses to the counteroffensive on civilian populated areas. So this is a video of Russian shelling. So although the Ukrainians are having success on the ground, the Russians respond at night with artillery fire on civilians. That's the only response Russia can do because their military is garbage. Here's from Malcolm Nance. PSA, what does the first artillery shot of a massive combined arms multi-axis ground offensive look like? So Malcolm Nance is still over there in them trenches. Well, according to this Norwegian donated M109 SPG that rolled up next to us, I say it sounds distinctly like what now? B-word.
What now, bitches? Shit's coming down.
Get him, Malcolm.
There you go. What now, bitches? Shit's coming down.
Shit's coming down. Watch out. Malcolm Nance still in Ukraine. Wow. I thought he would have been out of there by now. I was amazed he was even over there in the first place. He's still there. In Ukraine, intense footage of a mixed foreign Ukrainian unit in action during a recent Ukrainian offensive, during which a large quantity of U.S. donated material is used. So this is intense footage of mixed foreign Ukrainian unit in action during a recent Ukrainian counteroffensive. It's a 50 cal. Damn. The sound is muffled. I promise it's a lot louder than that in real life. It's a lot louder. Wow. They're hitting... Oh, man. Clear it. Oh, hey. Oh, wow. Mechanics gloves, those are some of the best. I had a pair of those. Wow, 2 of them. Ready to go. Damn, look, you see the bullets that are, you can see the bullets coming on the ground right there. They're taking return fire. Right there. That was a bullet right there. Shit. Yeah, fuck that. Oh. You just threw it off the truck. Give him the box, dude. What are you doing? Get the box ready. Hey, I don't know why I'm talking to y'all like you're training for the... But vehicle passengers got to have the box good to go, whoever's sitting in there. So the gunner doesn't have to fumble with shit. Fumbling, getting the 50 cal up. Another POV. Quality is a little worse. same operation.
Ебать, ебать, go, 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 go.
This is from inside of the truck, like the driver or the passenger's perspective. It looks like they're in a Humvee. They're in an 1151 A1, which is a up armored Humvee. Oh, there's even some dismounted soldiers up here too. I didn't see that from the gunner's perspective. We got some dismounted troops moving in. Wow, they're taking fire. You can see it right here on the ground. Wow.
Алло! 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 Алло!
Why did they not use the... Makes my beehole pucker a little bit, leaving those trucks sit there for too long like that. That was way too long to leave those vehicles there. And they're not, I don't know what they're doing. Here's another video, part 2. So he gets the, all right, so here's the, he gets it loaded now. This is back in the gunner's perspective. Oh, that thing sucked. That stupid hand crank, dude. God, it was so junk. God, I hated that thing. Oof. Shit, dude. Oh man, we gotta put it in the. Yeah, that's not gonna work. You gotta put. Yeah. It's just. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll get tangled up and be an asshole. Oh man. What are you doing down there? Oh, I would be yelling. What is that guy doing down there? Well, that's it for that. What an intense series of videos that was. Foreign Legion fighters in Ukraine. In some 1151s, you got a gunner perspective and then a driver passenger perspective video. Thank you for that in the Discord. Wow. Defenders address Zelensky from liberated Bakhmut. Mr. President, Mr. Commander-in-Chief, Bakhmut is taken under control. The order has been completed. Glory to Ukraine.
Місто Молодія, Харківської області, взято під контроль. Наказ виконано. Російські окупаційні війська відійшли. Спецпідрозділ Головного управління розвідки «Кракер». Сьогодні, 8 вересня, 16:00. Слава Україні!
Standing on the Russian flag as the Ukrainian flag is raised. Makes a good doormat. Good place to kick off your muddy boots. Pictures of Ukrainian soldiers in front of Izium district sign. We are already here. Again, this is Izium. Ooh. Ooh. Ukrainians are take Izium back? I don't know. 20,000 Russians in there. Ukrainian tanks go south. There's the Ukrainian tanks moving. Said hello Izium. More from the Discord server. Join our Discord server if you haven't. Ukrainian mechanized forces in Kharkiv Oblast. Oops. Liberated Ukrainian civilians from Russian occupation. 2 months ago, who would have thought we'd see anything like this? Nope. Ukraine's long mystery missiles have hit Saki Air Base in Crimea again. Reports of large explosion at Russia's Saki Air Base in Crimea. Another one. This is in the Crimean Peninsula. This is the same airbase. Oof, that's a big one too. That's the same airbase that went viral from the Russians vacationing on the beach as they seen the strikes come in. And they all decided to flee. All right, so reports of large explosion. When was that posted? At 7:30 a.m. on the 8th. So that would have been Thursday. That would have been Thursday afternoon in Ukraine. Some historical discoveries on the Vatniks. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's not in English. Vadim Topolov, an employee of the Oplat TV channel of Russian proxies in occupied Donetsk, called the U.S. national flag and chevron with the emblem of the UN peacekeeping mission in Kosovo the aesthetics of the Third Reich. Okay, what kind of cope is this?
Долгие годы они нам врали, но пришла весна, сошел снег, и мы увидели, кто, где и, главное, как нагадил.
This sucks. Bring back FPS Russia. At least that was a good channel. Dude wasn't even Russian, but that was the best one.
Всю эту неонацистскую палитру. Мы обнаружили ее на освобожденных территориях, в том числе на базах запрещенного Азова в Мариуполе и Приазовье. Американские флаги, шевроны, цвета правого сектора и даже логотип КФОР. Это миротворческая миссия ООН в Косово. Что она делала на базе запрещенного Азова, одному Богу известно. Но, я думаю, жителей Донбасса волнует ответ на главный вопрос. Откуда это все? Нет, не в смысле материальном, в смысле духовном. Как так получилось, что Украина впитала в себя всю эту эстетику? Как так стал ее кристаллизацией? Ответ в национальном репортаже.
Oh, so it's probably Donetsk has not heard the news that 80 years ago in World War II, the United States participated in the anti-Hitler coalition under this flag and together with other allies participated in the military defeat of the Third Reich. How the chevron of the UN peacekeeping forces, KFOR, appeared there is even more difficult to explain. After all, the contingent of 650 Russian servicemen sent to Kosovo by Vladimir Putin personally was part of the KFOR. Apparently, Putin is some other good fascist. Interesting. At least 3 Russian BMPs were lost trying to force the Donetsk River in the Kharkiv region. At least 3 BMPs were lost. Oof. Russian BMPs trying to snorkel again.
А потім грюзнеш, блядь, в якомусь болоті, блядь, на Харківщині. А потім ще тобі гол... Дід! Дід! А потім грюзнеш, блядь, в якомусь болоті, блядь.
Ivan!
На Харківщині. А потім ще тобі гол...
It sounds like he's yelling for his friend.
Дід!
Ivan! Stuck in the water. Trying to cross. Russians deploying thermite incendiary munitions in Kherson. So there's some incendiary munitions in Kherson Oblast being used. Trying to repel the Ukrainian counteroffensives. BM pontoon bridge. The Kraken special unit is raising the Ukrainian flag over Baliklas. This is the Kraken unit that was there, not the Terra unit. The Terra unit's the specialized drone unit. This is the Kraken special forces that have been made waves, liberating villages in the Kyiv Oblast, and now here they are in Kharkiv doing the same thing. Got it. All right. Next video from the Discord server. Saw those already. Seen a couple of those shared. Here's another one. This video shows Ukrainian military raising the Ukrainian flag in the liberated village of Vokoliv Yar in Kharkiv.
А вже можна піднімати. Піднімаємо український прапор над звільненим селом Волохів Яр. Слава ЗСУ, слава Україні, героям слава, пиздець Російській Федерації.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Ей!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам! А вже можна піднімати. Піднімаємо український прапор над звільненим селом Волохів Яр. Слава ЗСУ, слава Україні, героям слава, пиздець Російській Федерації.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
I won't get tired of watching Ukrainian military liberating villages videos, raising the flag back. What do we got here? Meanwhile, Nova Kakhovka. Russians smoking too close to the equipment again. Novakhovka, more on that fire near the hydroelectric plant. Seems like all major Russian targets are on fire this week, or burning. Ukraine villages are being liberated. It's not good for Russians right now at all. The military, the MIS robot designed to remove wounded soldiers from the shelling, is presented in Kyiv. Military, the MIS robot. That's fast as fuck, boy. It's fast as hell. That's one way to get wounded in and out of a situation fast. Faster than a Casevac, I'd suppose. Huh? All right, now time to go to the Ukraine War Video Report. That's a lot of the videos we've seen already on here. I'm seeing these. We've seen that. Oh, here's another one. Ukraine ambush on... Oh, they're dead. Ooh, never mind. Never mind. Sorry, can't see that one. But there's a video. If you go to the Ukraine War Video Report, there's a full explicit ambush on Russian troops in the east. So I'm not going to put that on the stream, but it's on the war. It's on the video report. I think that's going to be it here for the night. More tomorrow. Wagner Group destroyed. Wagner Group near Bakhmut. Wagner Group destroyed. We'll end with this, with the Wagner Group destroyed. Lots of cities liberated. Wagner Group getting destroyed some more. Russia's just not, it's just not a good situation for the Russian military. Hey, if you want more from me tonight, gaming stream, Snack Squad, check on in. We're going to be live here. I got to move the stream back in 10 minutes. 11 p.m. We're going to be continuing The Last of Us Part 1, Chapter 2. I'm going to play. It's a great game, great story. If you tuned in last night, invite more viewers in the Mercado Media stream. Say, hey, come on, you got to check this game out, because we had a lot of viewers last night. It was a great time, and so I'm going to be streaming this. It's a good kind of like get away from the current events, because we dive into it daily. So it's a good little distraction, a great gaming community y'all can tune into. So again, as the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense says from yesterday, they put numbers on the boards. They put numbers on the boards. Quickly, let's see the numbers real fast. We'll end with that. The newer numbers. Oh, 51,000. There's the numbers, the latest. Have a good night, y'all. Hope to see you guys on the Snack Squad TV stream. You guys are a great audience. Hit the like, hit the follow, hit the subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Also, I'll be live early with the United Kingdom events taking place, and the Queen Elizabeth II passing at 96 years old. We'll have coverage of that during the daytime tomorrow, including early as hell in the morning, about 5 in the morning. Look for that stream. All right, y'all. Take care. Good night.